Wild day in the news. San Francisco 49ers re-signing tight end Logan Thomas, a pass-catching tight end. Keep that in mind. Decent pass catcher, decent blocker. Re-signed him. What's the deal with that? Why'd they cut him? Why'd they bring him back? It's interesting. As if cut-down day didn't already look any more difficult, Nick Sorensen then said something pretty crazy about new incentives for keeping young talent around. And 49ers fans have reason to be hyped. On today's show, Warren Sharp's Wild Wednesday stat will make 49ers fans blush. Cutdown day carries a warning for a few guys with one game left to prove. Nick Sorensen says something very telling about new changes around young talent, and we will close out with the 2-minute drill. If you're new here, I'm Nate. Thanks for joining Sports Talk San Francisco, where we talk San Francisco 49ers every single day. It really does help me out if you would hit that like button and hit subscribe if you want to join the party and not miss out on all of the action. First, we do have some breaking-ish news, starting with San Francisco 49ers just a little over an hour ago re-signed tight end Logan Thomas to a one-year deal, waiving safety Taylor Hawkins. And this is interesting, one, because of what it does to the depth chart, which I'm now not going to show because it just changed my depth chart, just messed everything up for me. But two, it's also interesting because of the purpose behind dropping him in the first place, which there are a lot of takes out there. I believe I have one of them up here. Yeah. One person saying, I'm betting that they waived him early so he could see if he could latch on to another team. And when they were no real takers, re-sign with San Francisco, knowing he is likely to be on the practice squad. Professional courtesy here. That's a nice take. And if that's the truth, then good on the 49ers for giving him that opportunity, kind of setting what would be an obvious move back to the practice squad. Now, this is not the only possibility, of course. The 49ers could have also taken a risk knowing that he might not get picked up or probably wouldn't get picked up. They take that risk early when teams might not have the opportunity to pick them up, would have to do some movements to make it happen, and know that they do want him on this football team, but they just had to get guys in to make it work. They had to move guys around, do all of that fancy stuff that they do. I don't know what the reason is. I don't know, and we don't know yet. We're going to find out, though. We're fixing to find out. I was really high on Logan Thomas. I thought that he was coming in with a very specific purpose. We don't know the details of his contract, so we don't know based on monetary value if there's something they're putting into this. This is an interesting one. I would guess the easy answer would be if he were really, really important to this football team, they're not risking dropping him. They're dropping somebody else, right? Mason Pline or I don't know, whoever, right? They're going to drop somebody to make space. They're going to drop Cam Latu, who's probably going to get picked up if we're honest, who might even be trade capital, technically speaking, which is an interesting, we'll just move that aside. But I think it's safe to say Cam Latu's not making this team. That's just my gut feeling. I don't know. That's just where I'm at. Other breaking news? I don't know how legit this is, but the 49ers are near completing a reworked contract with left tackle Trent Williams. Contract will bring Trent back atop the highest paid offensive tackles in the NFL while adding a significant amount of guaranteed money. I've liked a lot of stuff that at 49ers Sports Talk has posted, but I don't know on this one. So I'm going to wait and see how this plays out. But you heard it here first if it ends up happening. And by here, I mean you heard it from them first if it ends up happening. We'll have to see. But that's the breaking news. I got a question for you, though. We're about to talk about Deebo Samuel, and I just want to know, where are we at with Deebo right now? Deebo, to me, has that look in his eye like he had in 2021. Thank you, Nick Wagner, for that one. Because my question of the day was this. Is Deebo about to have a monster season? Do you think that Deebo Samuel is going to have become the most valuable wide receiver again on this football team? I mean, statistically speaking, he's arguably the most valuable wide receiver on the team. Christian McCaffrey, too, I guess you could say, even though he's not a wide receiver. I think there's a lot of ways you could slice that one, okay? I'm not going to go too crazy on this. But my point being, how good and how important is Deebo Samuel going to be this year? Brock Purdy and Deebo have been really connected this training camp. He's been like the guy that every time you hear about a great pass, every other great pass that Brock Purdy throws happens to be to Deebo Samuel right now. He's coming in and he is fired up like he has not been before. Good on him. This could be, many think this is going to be his last season in red and gold. Man, anything could happen with Brandon Aiyuk right now. I don't even want to talk about Brandon Aiyuk. I'm not going to talk about Brandon Aiyuk today because anything could happen, and I don't even know what to think anymore. I'm like, just tell me when the signing's done or the trade is over, and then I'll pick up the pieces from there. But even if Brandon Aiyuk is on the team, he could be in the doghouse with Shanahan. Anything could happen, and even if he does sign, he might not be game ready. So, yeah, I think Deebo Samuel very much could be heading for a season like he had before he got paid. We'll have to wait and see on that. Really great article, by the way, from Warren Sharp, who does great stuff all the time. But take a look at this. Will Simmons putting an article together to talk about this. But one key aspect of success, the 49ers' vaunted offense in recent years has been their ability to gain consistent yards after the catch. And that's one of those things that as a football team, it's one of the most valuable things you can get out of a wide receiver. So one of the most important stats the wide receiver has. Out of the NFL pass catchers during the 2023 NFL regular season, the 49ers boast 3 of the top 10 players ranked by most yards after the catch over expected. In other words, San Francisco skill players are all among the best in the league at gaining extra yards after receptions compared to what would be expected in the given situation. So there you have it. There are those guys, yards after catch over expected from Warren Sharp. You got Deebo at the top, George Kittle, and then Brandon Aiyuk right there. And among the names listed around them, some big name players. Some other content that got cut off here, and I'm not 100% sure why, but Christian McCaffrey did very, very well in this, getting, I think it was 22nd on the list, which is not the top 10, not even the top 20, but not too far away, considering he did not have as many opportunities to catch the ball and run after. But for the amount of times he did, that's impressive. And again, that stat being very specific with the over-expected area. So keep that in mind too. This really shouldn't come as a surprise to anyone who's watched the 49ers recent years, particularly with Samuel and Kittle, two of the best at breaking tackles in the NFL. Likewise, Aiyuk's success in the metric illustrates another reason for his importance. While he's not known for running through defenders quite like Samuel and Kittle, his elusiveness helps him gain additional yards in a different style. Great take there. Next story. Where are we at here? Cut down warning. Yes. I was like, what is the story? I've got stuff on my screen layering over everything else. You can't see it. So interesting, cool article from Niners Nation here. Jason Aponte talking about some players who are really under the gun now. Friday night will conclude the 49ers preseason slate with the 53-man cut down date looming. Just a few days after Friday, I think it's Tuesday if I remember correctly. The starting positions are, for the most part, set, paging Trent Williams and Brandon Aiyuk. The preseason final against the Las Vegas Raiders will be the last case for players to make before the tough decisions are made, from 90 players to 53. Alex Barrett has been phenomenal in the preseason. With the cut down coming for the defensive line group, will they prioritize edge depth over interior defensive linemen? Barrett has been a part of the organization for the last few years and has shown out of the preseason that with the highest defensive grade of the 49ers defenders, and 6 pressures, 4 hurries, a sack, a QB hit, and a battled pass on 41 pass rushing snaps. So he's definitely balled out with every opportunity he's had. We've talked a little bit about him. Curtis Robinson, Jalen Graham, and Tatum Bethune are all in quite a battle. We've already talked about it here, but Fred Warner and Devondre Campbell locked in. D. Winters, my opinion, locked in. Then you've got Curtis Robinson, Tatum Bethune, Jalen Graham, and Flanagan Fowles. Because Flanagan Fowles has been on this football team, has been around there, and is highly spoken of by defensive coordinator Nick Sorensen, Flan was one of the 6, but the 49ers will look to replace Oren Burks with Robinson, Bethune, and Graham pushing each other for roster spot. Bethune leads the team in total tackles with 10 in 2 games. Robinson and Graham are 3rd and 4th, following Malik Mustafa with 8 and 7 tackles each. Robinson and Graham are tied for team lead with 6 defensive stops, and Bethune is tied with Alex Barrett for 2nd with 5. Flanagan Fowles is looking to make the roster based on how long he has stuck around. Will the 49ers value his time and special teams contributions in favor of upside from Robinson or Graham? That's going to be a fun one to watch. You've got to watch that game tomorrow night for that. Trent Williams, Aaron Banks, Jake Brendel, Dominic Pooney, and Colton McKivitz should be your starting lineup. With Dominic Pooney, by the way, I think I had that up here somewhere. No. I did at one point have it up there. Oopsies on my part. But Dominic Pooney did get the nod at starting right guard. Both Kyle Shanahan hinted to it, and then John Lynch said it today on KNBR. Spencer Burford is poised to return. John Feliciano will begin on IR. Jalen Moore has a spot in the roster as Williams' replacement, so that leaves Jarrett Kingston, Nick Zakelj, Chris Hubbard, Brandon Parker, Sebastian Gutierrez, and Isaac Alarcon, who are fighting for those 2 remaining spots. You have to imagine Chris Hubbard's going to have a little bit of an uphill battle if he's left tackle replacement, but if you think of him as bigger than that, same with Nick Zakelj. Zakelj can play both guard and he can play center, so you like that for him. So we'll have to see what happens with that one. The last story today that I wanted to talk about was really fascinating to me, and I think this is no one's talking about this particular aspect of it anymore, but since the rule change, it's been interesting. So new practice squad rules allow teams to keep veterans around on an expanded 15-man unit. Sorensen said that the new rules push teams to favor younger players over veterans when it comes to final cuts. Listen why. It makes a huge difference, Sorensen said. It wasn't too long ago you only had 5 practice squad players, and there were so many limitations on that. The standard elevations now that you can do with players and how many times you can do it, I think it's smart because back in the day, or even in those days not too long ago, you would play through injuries. You wouldn't report them, or you would just play through them. Where now you can be smarter because you can standard elevate guys. You've got guys that are in your program that you're developing. The 16 and 6 of them are veterans, which I think also extends the careers of these guys that all feel like you could play longer if you had the chance that you could just hang around. So the thing that you need to pay attention to from Sorensen that's really key here is this slight edge that now young players are gaining and continuing to gain on over veteran players. That if you keep these young guys around and the veteran guys, if you think you can get them on your practice squad, it makes sense. Curtis Robinson may now fall into a bucket where he's let go at final cuts in hopes of returning him to the practice squad. Cornerback Rock Yassin may have the same fate. Chris Hubbard and Brandon Parker, same fate. Chris Conley and Trent Taylor could fall into that mix as well. Although I think Chris Conley is on this football team. I think Chris Hubbard probably makes the football team. So I think the point is that these are guys that you might say, let's go with the young guy versus the old guy because of these rule changes. Don't be shocked if at final cuts some capable veterans are let go in favor of younger players. The practice squad provides an opening for those vets to return, and the 49ers appear ready to take full advantage of that. All right, 2-minute drill. It's probably not going to be super long today because I already talked about some of these things, but here we go. Oh, where are we at? 2-minute drill. I think, did I do it? Oh, it's 8. Hold on. I'm looking for my shortcuts, and I can't find it, and we're just going to have to play it. I had a cool little 2-minute drill thing, and it didn't show up. Oh, well. All right, we're good. Here we go. This one. Robert Beal Jr. with the backside. Pursuit works flat. Just watch. Robert Beal Jr. trying to make sure that he gets his name on the mouths of Kyle Shanahan and Nick Sorensen as they're making final cut days. My goodness. I mean, you like what you see, don't you? Don't you? Absolute pace, determination, and just max effort. You love to see it. All right. This one was interesting, too. George Kittle was on the game today, and just listen to what he had to say.
George, I don't think anything irritates me more in this world right now than people that question your quarterback. I don't get any of it. George, none of it, okay? And I think I've probably broken down every performance of his. Tell us what you see every day in practice, George, that nobody else gets to see, that makes this kid so special.
I can give you the corporate answer. He shows up to work every day, and all that stuff. Well, what you guys don't get to see is one thing I've always talked about that I think is what elevates just something that elevates quarterbacks or different quarterbacks is when you step into the huddle and your voice and your presence gets the attention of all 10 other guys in the huddle. Because I've been in a lot of huddles my entire career, and while I love all the quarterbacks that I've played with, some of them are just they've got it, whatever that is. And he steps into the huddle and all 10 eyes are on him. Everybody's looking at him. and like just his confidence that he speaks these plays with, how his understanding of the offense, like he gets it all, like just in those 5 to 10 seconds that you're in this huddle. And just like, I don't know if it's inspiring, but I think it's more of his confidence makes everybody else in the huddle more confident in themselves. And when you're in a huddle with Trent Williams and Deebo Samuel and you're making them more confident than they already are, holy cow, that's like that is something that is very, very good for the 49ers. And so that's one of the things, just like him in a huddle's fantastic. He's an incredibly hard critic on himself. Like he'll have a pass, he'll come out, like if he didn't like it, hey, what were you thinking on that? Like, I didn't like your angle out of this. Or, hey, that was a shit ball. I'm really sorry about that. Like, I'm going to put that on you. Or, hey, we need to figure out, hey, you're going to sit in the zone. Let's figure that out. So the next time we have that opportunity, we'll be 100% on it. And
Gotta love it, guys, from George Kittle. I mean, absolutely love it. And this guy, he is like a Brock Purdy apologist like nobody else is. Love the takes here from George Kittle. Love the perspective that we can never get, being able to see what it looks like when you're in the huddle and you've got absolute legends, Hall of Famers around you, and you are commanding and have that leadership intensity. I absolutely love it. Today's 49ers practice ending with a red zone TD pass to Jacob Cowing, who's been on fire. A handful more catches from Cowing today, including a deep corner turn TD on a perfect throw from Tanner Mordecai. So again, Jacob Cowing continuing to impress. Well done there. And then I think we already talked about that. So we are done, guys. We hit the end, and that is, man, here we go. Here we go. One more preseason game, one more opportunity. We get to see some actual starters out there, we think. We thought that last week too, and then it ended up just being Brock Purdy. But hopefully we're going to see a bunch of starters out there. It sounds like we're going to see a bunch of starters out there for a few reps, and it'll be good to see the rhythm of those guys make us, hopefully make us feel a little less stressed about what we've been seeing, or at least what we saw out of Brock Purdy that time. I'm not super stressed about it, but I do understand why people are kind of freaking out a little bit. So lots to look forward to there. Make sure that you're subscribed. You don't miss out on all the action. As always, guys, I'm feeling optimistic. This is going to be super fun, and we are now cut down day, just a few days away. So there's so much to cover, and I'll be there with you all the way through it. So make sure you are a part of the conversation in the chat, in the comments, all that good stuff. As always, what a time to be alive.